Hey there, Facebook and YouTube friends. We are going live today with a super quick get ready with me that is inspired by today being April 20th. Happy 420 day. To all of you, this is Dana. I am coming at you live from Philadelphia today. It is beautiful outside. I am getting ready for to take my daughter to a doctor's appointment because she Hulk smashed her ankle when she was running or something. I don't know. So I saw this article this morning on NPR and I had to print it out, highlight a couple things, and then bring them to people's attention because I think it's rather telling about the disconnect between teachers and everybody else. And I'm going to kind of compare this. I only had this article, and this article only talks about teachers. So I'm really only going to talk about teachers today. But I also have a list of other professions for which we no longer have any respect. The reason I'm doing my makeup for the second time today, and it's going to be a rush job, is because I accidentally put something on that had glitter in it, not realizing that I must be allergic to glitter because that was not fun. I was itchy, very itchy. So everything had to be washed. Everything is a fresh start, and I'm going to try and do this as quickly as possible while coming through the article. Now, the title of the article here, it says, "We need to be nurtured too. Many teachers say they're reaching a breaking point." And this article was posted yesterday, so April 19th, posted on NPR's website, and then, of course, shared on Facebook. I'm sure there were opinions there. I didn't bother to read them because it's basically a cesspool, the Facebook comments. But I did go through and highlight a couple of important facts. Now, what I understand most about this is that there is a setup here that teachers are not being supported. And they point to several issues that they have with the distance learning and or hybrid learning curriculum. And I just thought it would be really interesting to pull some of these apart and to see if these are conditions that teachers alone are facing. I'm willing to bet no. I'm willing to bet that each and every one of these things that I'm about to go over applies to you. Okay, the disclaimer. Okay, so the following opinions, stories, and ideas are collected from a series of emails, messages, social media posts, and personal experiences. Any similarities to you are best not to be taken literally and should be taken instead as representative of the whole. If it sounds like it's you, then it is not an isolated incident with just you. It came from more than one person, or I won't be speaking about it here. Because if it's just my personal experience, that's anecdotal. When we look at on the whole, as someone that speaks to parents regularly, as someone who shares their opinions regularly, I can assure you, any similarities to you are only because I can expressly speak to their circumstances. But it doesn't mean you specifically are the only one that does this, okay? One of the things that I've been noticing lately as our school moves from fully distance learning into hybrid learning is that the teachers are beginning to, once again, misunderstand, or I think teachers are feeling frustrated. And I think as a result of their frustration, they are, I hate to say it, but kind of taking it out on their students. So as an example, we have our school is doing a hybrid schedule. So on any given number of days, there are students home, there are students in the class. I think this is insane to expect teachers to juggle. I don't for a single second think that teachers should be expected to juggle an online. Okay, so it's not only is it an online classroom that they're managing, they're also managing the physical classroom there. They're also wearing 2 masks. They're also being tested weekly. Like, there's no reason on earth that teachers should have to put up with any of that. I don't understand why, if it's about safety and why, if it's about teachers not wanting to come in, well, if the teacher's safety concern is kind of on par with society's safety concern, then you're going to have an equal let's say, ratio of students and teachers that prefer to stay home for safety's sake and teachers and students that prefer to teach in class. I don't understand why there can't be a reshuffling or remanagement of those resources so you can have teachers that are in class teach in class and teachers that are at home teach from their home and do more of a distance program. This would stop the juggling that teachers are being expected to do right now. So it's insane. But going through this article, okay, guys, I started to get like a little bit infuriated because I'm only going to highlight a couple things. Okay, this is a teacher, and this is a single teacher, so I understand that she probably has a lot more stress than most. But this teacher in particular, where's my mirror? This teacher in particular is a single mom to a 9 and a 3-year-old, and one of the statements she makes here is that her level of stress is exponentially higher. It's like nothing I've experienced before. You know, I hate to break it to teachers, but like they are not the only one whose job and stress level has soared in the last year. But what I will say is that teachers' refusal to go back to the classroom in a timely manner, like the rest of society, put stress on the rest of society. Okay? We're going to get there when we get to all these other issues that they have, that nobody else has, and they need extra special care. Okay, long hours, juggling personal and work responsibilities. And many have told NPR they feel like they're reaching a breaking point. We can't have our teachers breaking, not our precious teachers. Okay. Teachers feel like they're reaching a breaking point, and I get it. I really am trying to be as sympathetic as I can to the plight that they have been, that they are under right now. They have been, with no notice, expected to convert their whole classroom into a distance learning lab, and their home into a distance learning lab. And then they're told to be hybrid teachers and then to keep track of 2 classrooms, and they're just supposed to keep going. And I don't know at what point teachers are going to say no, but here's the real problem. Okay? Teaching is one of the most stressful occupations in the U.S., tied with only nurses. Okay, now I'm just going to say this. This is 2 female-centered professions, and it sounds like they're being a little bitchy. Okay? Really does. I'm going to get to that. The mental health and well-being of teachers. Now we're going to talk about this as if the mental health and well-being of all students isn't a problem. All right. Now she's saying that it's connected to that teachers' health and well-being can affect the way students learn. And I actually agree with that. That makes a lot of sense with me. But here's what she says. Having teachers feel safe and supported in their school environments is essential to students learning and being successful. So what stuck out to me are the words "in their school environments," right? Why would that be of concern to me? Well, because they're not in their school environments. They're not in school. That was a choice that they made. That wasn't a choice that any of us made. The rest of us. We have a huge teacher turnover problem in our country. It's because administration's ruining it for students and teachers alike. As usual, the middleman's going to screw it up for everybody. Now we get into another teacher, and this is a first grade teacher, and just, I mean, the height of irony here in terms of, as far as I'm concerned. I'm going with all matte colors today, folks, because I already gave myself an allergic reaction, which is why I'm doing this for the second time today. I'm so annoyed. All right. Looney also worries about her students learning. Everyone in her district has to wear masks in class, which she agrees with. But those masks mean she can't see her first graders' mouth as they learn phonics. So she's worried about how her English as a second language students will be interpreting that. It's interesting, though, that she has to say, but I agree with it, though. Oh, I agree with it. I know it's developmentally harmful for my students, and it's all about my children, but I agree with it, though. Why is it? Maybe because nursing and teaching are 2 of the bitchiest professions out there, where teachers literally eat their young, that cattiness. I mean, come on, you guys. Oh man, what a day. What a day. Okay. All right. I'm going to keep going. So, in other words, she doesn't care that it's going to mess up her first grader and immigrant students' ability to speak properly. No concern. What they're worried about is that we are not understanding enough of what they're going through. Okay. So, here you go. The constant shifting between fully online and hybrid classes. Yeah, they're doing that at our school too, man. And I'll tell you what, it's a giant pain in the butt. They get like a certain number of cases and then they have to shut the school down and then they're back. And the teachers are doing a good job managing that. I don't think anybody's saying that the teachers themselves, like on an individual level, have not been managing things well. I think they have, they've been able to turn 2 dimes in a nickel into a quarter from time to time. Parts of this distance learning thing is working out for me and, working out for the kids, but not for the vast majority of kids, not for the special needs students. Not that anybody seems to really care too much about them, even though it's all about the students, though. Like, at what point do we call bullshit on that? Trying to keep this eye look a little bit bright today. Now, again, we have this single mom, and we go back to her. If there's anybody I do feel sorry for, it's teacher moms, because they are just, they know how hard it is having their students home because they have their own kids home. And it's like, what a juggling act that is. Yeah, I don't envy them that. But I certainly don't feel sorry for them either. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's not how that works. Okay. I feel the sense of guilt. I'm not a good enough teacher for my students, and I'm not a good mother for my own kids. And man, that hit me in the feels, because you know what? Like, I really do. I feel, wow, sorry, it might have been loud on the mic, guys. Sorry about that. I really do feel sorry for her when she says that, because she's a single mom. So, I mean, who is around to help her with those responsibilities? Probably nobody. But again, this is not something any of us chose. So, I forgot how pigmented these dark shadows are. All right. So even though it breaks her heart, she started looking for another profession. Now, the fact that it breaks her heart is evidence to me that she is one of the good teachers out there. Okay. And I know they're out there because my kids have them. Okay. I'm not saying that my kids' teachers are bad. We've had our issues, but we're doing our best here. Okay. My concern is that teachers, on the whole, seem to be needing some kind of reassurance or gratitude or praise or, expression of gratitude from the community in order to continue working. Do we all get that? Has anybody had a fucking parade for you? Like, the last time you folded a basket of laundry, did your husband throw you a parade? That's what I want to know. No, mine neither, selfish prick, right? So teachers are kind of expecting a lot from the community that they serve. And let's be honest, this is a profession. It is a job. It is a calling to many, and I appreciate that. That's why many of them got into it in the first place. But that's not what it is anymore. And so it's become an institutionalized indoctrination camp. That's it. All right. Now they bring up things about you're in the same place when you're on Zoom, that you're grading papers, that you're watching Netflix, there's blurred lines. I get that. I'm not even saying that he or she is wrong when they are saying that. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to find one particular item. There it is. Here. All right. Now, here's a middle school math teacher. Says she's usually an upbeat person, but the pandemic, coupled with the racial turmoil in the country, has taken a toll. She's African American and says reports of Black men and women being killed by police make her fear for her husband's safety. So it begs the question, of the African American men and women that have been killed by police, how many of them have been like 100% minding their own business, not involved in a crime, not violating a restraining order, not returning to the house of the woman that they raped, not trying to steal her kids, not reaching for a knife on the floorboard or having a fentanyl and methamphetamine overdose. Took me a minute. He'd have been set better. So I almost said methadone, which is like heartbreaking because honestly, he'd probably be alive if he'd had access to a program such as that. Yes, baby, what's up?
I'm just grabbing my.
Oh, okay. So we have those things going on. Now, what I have questions about is that she specifically speaks to the killing of Black and brown people and how that is making things a little bit more difficult for her in her work environment. Can I help you find something, babe?
I'm looking for my science textbook.
Okay, might be downstairs.
Oh, here.
There you go.
Thank you.
Close the door behind you.
How about your lunch? Bye.
Bye. Trying to get a cut crease. I was so annoyed. I really liked my eyeshadow look, and then I put, I don't know, I guess I was feeling funny. I put glitter on, like glitter eyeshadow, just in the corners to like light up the inside corners a little bit. And man, I instantly started to itch everywhere. So I'm like, okay, guess I'm allergic to that. So then here's my question for her, right? She is expecting some kind of, I'm not sure here. I'm not sure exactly what she's expecting. And again, like that she is expecting additional support or extra levels of support because she is African American, which begs the question. Yes, honey. Okay, cool. All right, go watch something or go play outside. It's really nice out. Give me a few minutes just to do this. All right, trying to get through this article. So the point that I'm trying to make is that she is feeling like because of the recent reports of racial turmoil that she feels, I guess, like she can't speak to, I'm presuming, her white colleagues about this based on her words here. I wonder if white teachers feel threatened when they hear reports of white folks being shot by police. So then I tried to find those reports, and you know what's weird? They don't make reports when that happens. It's not news, you guys. The mockingbirds are not allowed to sing about when white people are killed by police, but they are. Sometimes by white cops, sometimes by black cops. We only riot, never. We don't riot. That's the point. Okay? The concept that this is a purely racial issue, I truly don't understand how people are still getting away with that line of thinking. It boggles my mind completely. All right, we're going to get under here with that. We're almost done the eyes, thank God. What a frustrating experience this makeup sesh has been. All right. So are reports of white people making her feel threatened? Do they make me or other white teachers feel threatened? Does she talk to her white colleagues when she hears about white people getting shot or not? She doesn't mention like when she hears about little girls being killed at McDonald's drive-thrus in inner city Chicago. She doesn't think about that. Even though that girl is African-American and she herself is an African-American woman, she didn't think about that. She only thinks about George Floyd. See what I mean? Like these people are so wrapped up in whatever the narrative of the day is that they're incapable of critical thinking. And yet they are the ones that are saddled with teaching our children about critical thinking. And I myself am just, I have lost faith. I've lost so much faith. Not in all teachers. Not all teachers. No sprinkles, sparkles, no nothing today. That's a hard line. I'm going to buff that out. All right. She's also concerned. Here's another teacher. It's been devastating hearing elected officials and parents criticize teachers, insisting that schools need to open, even though teachers are concerned about their own health. She says some community members act like online classes meant teachers weren't working at all. In fact, she said they were working harder than ever. I believe her. I believe that that is true. I believe that she believes that. People probably are saying horrible things. I think, again, people are just feeling generally like discouraged about about schools still being closed. And the reason why is because everything else has been open. When this started, we are well over a year ago. When the heck hippity hop is my, here we go. When we started this, it was over a year ago, and it was 2 weeks to slow the spread, and everybody was down. Like, I don't know a single person, even back then, that was thinking like, oh no, we shouldn't do 2 weeks to slow the spread. No, we shouldn't. Everybody was on board with that. But then after 2 weeks, like, everybody kind of had to get back to it. Catholic schools were open. There's no reason that underfunded schools couldn't open if they were open anyway. I don't understand how the funding has anything to do with it. What I also don't understand is why parents and teachers and students are having to pay for the poor mismanagement of the Philadelphia school district for like the last 50 years. Because teachers are the ones that have been in the buildings that are infested with asbestos and rats and mouse shit. Like, I've seen it. I've seen it with my own eyes. And I'm obviously not talking about my kids' school at this point. Like, I wouldn't have my kids in a rat shit infested school. But in order to address why the schools can't open, we have to address why teachers are buying into the narrative that there is still some dreaded health threat out there. At this point, the survival rate, if you're under 80 and not morbidly obese, is like 99.97. Pretty fucking good survival rates, you guys. Are there many morbidly obese 82-year-old teachers out there? Nah. Then they have the same relative risk as somebody like me who actually has a compromised immune system, right? And yet, can I just stop working? No. Has my husband just stopped working? Because, there's a virus, you guys. A pathogen. Has my husband been able to stop working? No. No. Somehow teachers think that their safety is more important than the safety of all the other people that have been working through the entire pandemic, right? The idea that schools are somehow inherently more dangerous than any other location at this point, it doesn't hold any water. We know that asymptomatic spread is not the main vector for respiratory illnesses. We know that children primarily present as asymptomatic, that these illnesses tend to affect those with, again, compromised immune systems, morbidly obese, or very, very old. It's not most teachers that I know, guys. Most teachers that I know on an individual level are very quick to say that they want to be with their students, but they want to be quote unquote safe. And what they mean by safe seems to be they need to be free from any and all risk of any and all harm, including germs. And like, if you wanted to be away from germs, you shouldn't have picked teaching as a profession. It's like doctors not wanting to be around sick people. Oh, you're sick? You got a cough? Oh, don't come in. The fuck? Did you not want to be around sick? If you want to be around sick people, maybe medicine was the wrong choice, because it's primarily sick people that are seeking medical care. You see what I mean? Like, there's this level of hypocrisy in certain professions. And I think on the whole, like, we're just, as a society, we're losing patience for these people. And I think, unfortunately, teachers have fallen into that trap on account of, yeah, that's wild. Teachers are losing legitimacy among the public, let's say, because they are not willing to take on the same level of risk that most of society has been taking on. Children are not the main disease vectors for this. Now that you guys have your precious vaccine, I thought that everything would be wide open, but apparently not. Let me soften that up a little bit. Okay, that's better. We're getting there, guys. I might actually make this appointment on time. That would be super fly if I could. I'm getting there. All right, and so here we go. And here's where we really get down to it. And it's interesting, they save this part of the article for last. And I for one, am absolutely not surprised at all. Okay. Archer says at the beginning of the pandemic, quote, "We were seen as angels. Like, oh my God, I've been home with my child for 2 months. How do teachers do it?" And now the narrative has totally flip-flopped. Okay. All right. The issue is that you guys think the narrative is flip-flopped instead of saying that you guys are the narrative. You are literally the pushers of the narrative, okay? The idea that somehow this is a scary virus that we all have to run and hide from is untrue. We have very good treatment methods for those that come in contact with it. We have things that we know that can mitigate our risk in the first place. And so all of these things can be done by teachers if they're truly concerned about their health. Now, some of the other professions for which people have lost all of their faith and all of their patience, okay, I think is number one, and I hate to say it because I'm the daughter of a police officer, but cops. I think people are just done with cops. We're really torn. Most of us are torn, I think, because we, on the one hand, we love our police officers because they maintain some kind of law and order. And in a city like Philadelphia, God knows we need it, right? But if we, what am I sitting on? Ouch. In a place like Philadelphia, we certainly need the cops, but at this point, cops have been the ones enforcing some of these unconstitutional edicts, supporting protesters, following unlawful orders. And so a lot of folks have begun to lose respect for that profession. It's just another one where you can't expect praise and a parade and signs and your essential workers and yada, yada, yada. You can't expect all of that and then piss on the public in general when you're a public servant. If you work for the public school system as a teacher, guess what? Parents have the right to be pissed when you decide not to go back to work, because when you decide not to go back to work, we can't go back to work. And are teachers meant to be babysitters? No. Clearly not, unless you guys are dumb enough to pay all that money just to be babysitters. I don't think that's what you are. But I also don't think that asking you to go do your job in person where you're most effective, I don't think that should be offensive. I don't think that means that you can assume that I don't care about your health or that I don't value you as a person. You're making all those assumptions about me because I want you to show up and do your job. But I'm ready to get back to life. And so is the rest of the world. And to be completely not understanding to that and to continue to enforce these silly rules and stuff, you guys, you're just not going to get, nobody's going to be your friend under those circumstances. So there you go. Look, the general public on the whole has just lost patience for social justice warriors and or activists. Now, what makes me say this? I think that there is a false sense among many that because, quote unquote, because the candidate that is a fan of the social justice warriors won, in a sense, that they feel somewhat vindicated. But I think so many people are bitter about the way that went that they don't feel that way any longer. Activists and SJWs, nobody has any patience for those people anymore. They'd be best to mind their own business, really. I picked up way too much pigment there. Now, it's interesting because a lot of social justice warriors are teachers. I don't understand that little bit of crossover there. It seems rather odd to me, and it's not something I would have expected. I'm going to go all the way across. It's not something I would have expected. The issue here is that teachers seem to have written this article from a position of needing more time, care, and attention than somehow than other people, than the students that they serve. And what I'm here to say is that there's a lot of room for teachers to be giving their students a break. And I think in many ways, if teachers were standing up to their administrators and saying, like, this is not working for my students, I think we really see a big shift, but we're not seeing that. We're seeing teachers that are more invested in the narrative, the psyop of COVID, than they are invested in their students. And I, for one, am sick of them acting like it's all about my students. It's all about my students when you can't even show up to do your job. Like, imagine if, like, I'm just trying to think, like, in what other world you could be like, yeah, but I'm going to show up and I'm just not really going to be there. I'm going to do it from home. And that's supposed to be okay long term. And a year later, you still don't want to leave your house. How do you even live like that? You get your groceries delivered. How do you think your groceries get there? A truck driver has to pick them up from a warehouse, drive them over to the grocery store. Somebody at the grocery store has to unload them. Somebody else has to put them on a shelf. Somebody else has to check you out. Somebody else is bagging up the groceries. Somebody else is collecting the carts. But see, all them people, they have to show up to work to do their job. They have to show up to work so that you can get your groceries delivered, because God forbid you should have to go out without 2 masks, 3 shots, and a COVID swab up the ass. We're losing patience with you because you haven't stood up for our kids. And when we try to stand up for our kids, we're looked at as like nuisance parents. Okay? It's getting old. It's getting very, very fucking old. And then and now here we have some more examples of, here's some examples of some things that have happened. I have a friend who was told to enforce a lateness policy early on in the pandemic for children at a very young age. At a young grade, let's say that. I don't want to like out her too much. Anyway, a young grade. And how much time? I got 10 minutes to wrap this up. And she didn't want to do it. And she actually went to her administrator and argued with her. And the administrator gave her a hard time, and then so did the other teachers. Why? Bitchiest profession. Besides the other one that's considered number one most stressful, nursing. I'm sorry. I just don't feel that bad for nurses either. I don't think they're heroes. I think they're doing a job. I think they're doing a job they went to school to do. I think they're paying a job that they get paid very well for. They get a retirement. When you pick a job, you can't bitch about how hard it is and expect the public to like clap for you every time you do your job. It's not reasonable. Let's do like a lighter shade because I'm so pale. Down here. Yes, honey.
I found this one before. I don't know what it is. I just don't want the dog chair.
Yeah, it's like plastic or something. Looks like it came off like a rubber, like something that would be on the tip of something metal or plastic, so it wouldn't be scratchy. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Okay. I'll be done in just a few minutes. Okay. Yeah, no, because that wouldn't be good for her tummy. Thank you, baby. I'll be right out. Okay. All right, I could tell the kids are getting a little bit antsy here, so we're going to start wrapping it up. We are tired of teachers because we want you guys to go back to work. It's not an unreasonable ask at this point. Their survival rate for COVID is exponentially high. You guys have the vaccine, right? You have access to it anyway. You have access to vitamin D, sunlight, ivermectin, zinc, things that can be done to clinically improve your chances even greater. You can lose weight, eat healthy. There's a lot of things that you can do to mitigate your risk. And if you're really concerned about the kids, like you would all be mitigating your risk so you can get back to the kids, but that's not what's happening here. And so people are getting tired. I'm getting tired, and that's okay. I'm allowed to be tired because I don't think that it's an easy job being a teacher. I just think that it's a job you chose. And so you don't get to like complain about it from now until forever. You chose it. What's that saying? Chose your bed, lie in it, right? So you chose your bed, lie in it. Oh, I'm going to try this cream blush again. This was really something last time. It was a really wild experience with this very bright blush. Oh, and that's very bright highlighter. Let's go with all cream makeup today, huh? That'll make me feel good. My skin anyway. teachers have a very difficult job. They are expected to manage a large number of students of whatever, any age, especially like the younger grades. I don't know how you guys do, but anyway. Teachers have a really hard job to do. And that job is something you guys are like exceptionally skilled at when you're there. Not for nothing. I appreciate anyway, all that has been done to, as much as possible, make this year something that would benefit the students. But the truth of the matter is, it is not something that has benefited the students. I think in large part because we're taking the teachers and the students out of their environment. All that being said, teachers really need to give students and parents a break. My kids are getting yelled at for things that are like, it's normal for kids to be distracted. Okay. Some of your more socially anxious students get very nervous when they're called out on Zoom. They feel like everybody's looking at them. They don't like it. It doesn't make the student want to participate. It makes it hard for parents to get cooperation from their students. It makes teaching harder when you do that. Oh, crap. I knew something was missing. It didn't look right. I don't think shaming and embarrassing students for things beyond their control is an effective strategy. I really don't. I just think that it lends itself to resentment and students who just don't want to work with you and are oppositional and defiant. I think that when I see students getting the talking to. And I know that they're in difficult situations. Either their mom's, again, full-time single working mom. It just seems like there's no real care for the difficult time the students are having. Or the fact that the students wouldn't be having this time if you guys would show back up to work. Like, I know that's what this was really about. Like your anger, this like anger that you all project out like towards parents when we say this stuff. This is really about you guys not being in a place like you're too embarrassed to accept that we're right. And so you just lash out at us in anger. This is not coming from a place of anger. This is coming from a place of like, the studies say, the numbers prove that students are not learning at home. Teachers are stressed out because they are home. We have to weigh your unreasonable fear against the PSYOP virus. We have to weigh your unreasonable fear against the very legitimate, actual, real-time destruction, death, suicide, depression that is happening right now. Because if you really cared about your students, you'd be making more of an effort to get over your own irrational fear and get back to the classroom. We have all had to go back to work. Nobody is expecting you to do anything special. Nobody's going to clap for you when you get there. Just deal with it, okay? Does the school really need to put out a freaking sign in order for you to feel appreciated? Or like, can just getting your paycheck be enough? All right, guys, I am wish me luck. I take this kid to the orthopedist. I don't know what she did. All I know is she definitely did something to a foot she previously had a fracture in. So I'm hoping it's not refractured, although I strongly suspect it is. I will have to check in with you guys later on that and let you know where we go. Take it easy. Peace. Love you guys. I really do. But you need to pull your shit together, get back to work. That's all the time with all the students. We can't let this go on anymore, guys. Like, we're at the point where the CDC says 3 feet is enough. We don't have to do this stuff, or we are only allowed to bring in a couple kids. There's ways to get around this, but it really stops if you guys let go of like your embarrassment for being wrong about this. You can't do as good a job at home. Nobody's saying that's like a personal character defect of yours. It's just an impossible situation. And please stop getting mad at your students. Why is this still on? Okay. Please stop getting mad at your students for things that are outside their realm of control. They can't control what's happening in the houses around them, and berating them in front of their friends online, you're not doing them any favors. So can we please knock all that shit off? I mean, I don't think the teacher would like it if I got on and said something to her like, well, maybe if you were paying attention, you would have noticed that this particular student doesn't have the best living situation right now, and they happen to be surrounded by a ton of noise, and they don't have the support they need, and they may or may not be eating enough at home, and we just don't even know. So how about we lay off of our students? Lay off of all of our students, because I want all of our kids to make it back next year. Really, really do. We can be in this together. It's time for parents and teachers to unite and tell administrators we're not doing this anymore. We're not, because it is about the students. It is about what's best for them. And deep down inside, that's what's best for them too. You have to get over this fear, guys. You really, really do. It's not normal, not healthy long term. Bye.